Pardon me.
Hey, are you one of those so-called badasses?
Samurai Champloo is a Japanese anime television series directed by Cowboy Bebop's legendary Shinichiro Watanabe. Samurai Champloo is in many ways the spiritual successor of Cowboy Bebop, and was Watanabe's first series following Bebop's huge commercial success. It's a show that takes the risk of combining breakdance culture hip-hop beats with a high-octane, violent yet animated historical adaptation of Japan to document the journey of three highly contrasting protagonists. What may seem like a generic early 2000s 26-episode edgy cartoon is at its roots an accessible, masterful blend of classic samurai character/setting themes, brutal action, and even deeper philosophical themes regarding one's purpose, direction, and decisions. Though its description may be dense, it rarely loses its footing or stops at a halt. Its atmosphere and consistency is supreme. The show's pacing is constant and flowing. No matter how dire the situation is, the hypnotic chill-hop loops set the base of emotions for any scene, whether that would be a life-or-death battle between two forces, a sad farewell, or the beginning of a misadventure.
I'll be waiting for you here tomorrow night.
What I'd personally say is one of the show's strongest suits may also be the biggest factor warding off new viewers. Its episodic structure is set anachronistically, basically meaning not following a traditional linear storyline, instead opting for an almost new arc for each of the 26 episodes. As the main trio is thrust into unpredictable challenge at the hand of bounty hunters, eating contests, or personal loose ends, at the end of each arc, we understand little more about the protagonist we eventually grow to sympathize with, and the audience is able to witness each character's strengths, weaknesses, and the motivation behind their choices. For our cast, Mugen, a ruthless ex-pirate and self-proclaimed selfish anarchist from Japan's previously outlawed Ryukyu Islands. He's adventurous, vulgar, immature, and he's willing to justify any act with a worthy reward in mind. Mugen's carelessness reflects in his character, clothing, and fighting style. Doesn't care about others, wears torn baggy clothes like he's in the early 2000s music video, and fights trained samurai like a breakdancer. His unpredictableness and improvisation in combat make him a force to be reckoned with, but falls short in his lack of interpersonal skills or a clear-cut path. It's difficult to say Mugen is motivated by anything except acquiring things for himself, but that's what makes him an interesting character. He was previously a pirate and then dodged execution by government officials.
I don't give a rat's ass about your common sense. Huh? Because I come from Ryukyu, pal.
I believe Mugen to be a parallel of Spike. Both are mostly driven by themselves, aren't thoughtful in action, and on the run for themselves, always ready for a fight. Both Mugen and Spike use their recklessness as fuel for their own protection. Although you could definitely argue Spike is much more controlled and not constantly seeking another bloodbath.
Mugen was kind of weird because it came shortly after Bebop, and the thing that scared me about it was a lot of the same people working on it, and they didn't want to change the voice, but it was a completely different character. So when you walk into a room, they give you those kind of specs, you feel like the fans are going to hate you forever if you do it exactly the same way. So the challenge really was to make him different enough in personality.
Shrouded by secrecy, Jin is a rogue Ronin samurai trained in a forsaken dying martial art. Initially presented as a complete contrast to Mugen, he's deliberate and conscientious. He fights, communicates, and deals only with honor, skill, and self-control. His struggle, if not initially being able to defeat Mugen in a duel, is in running away from mistakes of his past, never being able to find his true tribe.
Perhaps the only thing I've ever done is run away.
The comparison is something of a stretch, but I feel Jin to be very similar to Jet from the Bebop series. Both try their best to operate purely on ethics yet conversely find trouble in loneliness and longing, issues evolving from events in their past lives. And finally, the third member of our honourable trio, Fu. I'll keep it short, pun intended. I'm not even joking, she was boring as fuck, but she proves to be extremely integral to the plot later on. She acts as the bridge between the two other characters. Only being a teenage girl, she's extremely dependent on her warrior companions to accompany her on the journey to her ultimate goal, to find the samurai who smells of sunflowers. Through a coin toss, both supporting characters lacking direction decide to stop trying to kill each other and instead are strung along to tolerate Fu's timidity and whining to set out on the search for the samurai who smells of sunflowers.
That guy!
Do it, Gene!
Goodbye.
Yeah, well, good riddance.
From the group's collective journey, a few relatable messages about purpose and destination can be derived. Mugen may not admit it, but most of his actions are motivated by the want to prove one's self-worth to oneself and others as an unorthodox yet tough, highly skilled, persistently furious fighter. He's reliant on supreme talent and improvisation, so hasn't really learned the skill of self-restraint. Jin's commitment to order grants him the skill of a great swordsman, but comes at the cost of his ability to communicate with others, process human emotion, and loneliness. Fu's goal is ambiguous, to find the samurai who smells of sunflowers, when in reality sunflowers actually have no smell. Near the end, when she finally finds said samurai, who turned out to be her father, a man she once resented for abandoning her, She sees him helpless at the hand of his injuries. She's left with a sense of dissatisfaction, only to realize that the most valuable asset she gained was the journey, and her experience developing as a person alongside both Mugen and Jin. While these may seem like generic plot points, it's very easy to see the relatability of the trio as parallels to our own personal lives. Say, in attempting to prove our value to others by achievement, in recognizing the sacrifice of time and self to acquire technical skills, or simply in chasing an ambiguous goal for a long time, only to realize the end destination only makes way for another journey. This draws to our conclusion, the main message of the show, that perhaps life's best memories and experiences are of the journey rather than our goals, technical value, and achievements. If this isn't the best anime opening of all time, it's definitely a strong contender. Shinichiro Watanabe is great at making a series that feels cool, controlled, and artistically realized. He boasts insanely well choreographed fight sequences and smooth animation. The soundtrack is amazing. This was actually one of the earliest forms of lo-fi hip-hop. Please subscribe so I can get ad revenue so I can buy the vinyl record, please. For Watanabe, the concept was strange, and the challenge of leading up to the quality of his previous work would be paralyzing for other directors. But taking that creative risk paid off well. Watching this for the first time, it felt a lot like my childhood memories of watching The Last Airbender, but much more mature and flashier. And it's honestly a shame that it wasn't made in 1080p quality. But that's 2004 for you.
What's up with her? She's sentimental. She's what kind of mental?
It's a female emotion found in Western European women.
I'm glad I got a chance to watch Samurai Champloo right before an important time in my life. And it's very common to get sob stories about how some piece of media changed someone's life. While my story may not be as extreme, it was still great.
Taking them back real quick. It's like 2003? Jesus, been rapping a long time, B.